Hello, all right. We are back with some more mechs, more mech and mechs. This is the Iron Foot or the Battletech Thunderbolt, one of the unseen mechs, and this is another model I made quite a while ago in my 3D Studio Max days. I took the 3ds Max file and ported it over to Blender, and I'm going to start to set it up for a resin print. I initially set it up for a action figure kind of build, and it had several parts, lots of moving pieces, and took quite a while to design. I didn't really have in mind a resin printer at the time, um, but I'm going to try and simplify the model or get rid of some of these pieces and parts, make it merge it into one a solid chunk as much as I can, and then work on creating a BattleTech figure or a miniature, kind of like you would use, or kind of like exactly like you would use for the board game, for the old board game. And I actually had this figure, this lead figure as well. Um, One more thing that is long gone, but I might be able to try and reproduce this here with the resin printer. And I don't know exactly how tall it was. Everything's just, I'm just kind of winging it and guessing the sizes. And you'll see how that kind of comes out when I um, demonstrate the final print or that final result. And right here, I'm just cleaning up the model. And this actually was quite a bit of work to just undo all those parts that I had sort of sliced apart and I don't know what you'd call it, engineered to be separate parts so they would lay on the filament printer flat and you can get a good decent print out of the filament printer. And all these have the joints and the pins and the cavities that the pins went into print out correctly and all fit together nicely and give you a nice posable figure. And the original one was roughly about 7, 8 inches high, maybe 8 inches, probably not quite that big. I'd have to go back and look at what I had made back then, but it was a it was quite a project, and I'm simplifying it here for the resin and just going to make a posed figure, probably about 4 centimeters, 3.5 centimeters, 4 centimeters. I did a little digging to see how big the original BattleTech figures were. I didn't find any hard and fast measurements. A lot of roundabout guesswork stuff. Even went digging into eBay. I have the old lead figures, the actual lead figure, the Ralpartha lead figure, and used that for reference to see what I was up against because I had such fond memories of those. Or, as a kid, I remember the lead figures having all this detail and just I thought they were amazing. But when I was looking at the reference, I was like, maybe they didn't look all that great. But for what I had for 350 that I paid for them at the hobby shop, I thought it looked pretty damn cool. Especially when that's really all you had access to from the hobby shop and robot wise. All right, so this thing has two different style arms from left to right, and that was pain in the behind, but not too bad. Separate that gun. And I don't know, that gun was kind of precarious to print. It's kind of needle small in some spots when it came out of the printer, but I had some trial and error coming through the resin printer. All right. And those hoses, those chest hoses or something that I was pleasantly surprised that they turned out so well. All right. I was considering the Revell models and various other sources. I have the uh what is it? The Dugaram art book, actually. What is it called? I have it right in front of me here. It is Dugaram and Vatmos design works, and I was hoping for a little bit more in terms of developmental sketches related to this Mac. They just have a couple of small images of it, marginally helpful, but not really, I guess. I really kind of knew what it looked like already from the various model references and there's all kinds of other references outside of the actual design works or the Japanese studio that they came out of. I love those design or those developmental drawings. Just wish I could find more of them related to this mech. We just kind of got what we got in terms of model kits and whatnot. Um, and this pipe I was really worried about, this hose. I didn't think it was going to work, but it came out really nice. Right. You can see I'll kind of do a little walkthrough of these images that I keep popping up here. I'm using them as a reference as I kick back and forth. And I'm trying to come as close as possible to the actual lead figure and maybe upscale or, you know, do it one better if I can. I see the one thing I did forget to put on the final piece was those little headlights. They're these kind of almost automobile spotlights or headlights that stick to the side of the torso. I can probably come up with a different or another swipe at this model to add those in there. Not probably not a big deal. I was really just kind of happy to see this thing in the physical form again after have having lost so long ago. All right. And the hex. We'll just throw the hex base on there. I remember the original one did not have a hex base with it. It was just kind of this old oval-ish shape. They kind of seem to pour or cast the lead in a rough shape that would keep the feet, the feet and the legs sort of stable without getting too broken. Give it some stability and strength when it was being handled or moved around. And then you would glue it to the base of whatever hex or whatever you wanted to. All right, we're just going to get this model set up in the slicer in Anycubic Photon Works and give it a shot on the printer. Just getting a little print happy to see how it turns out, how it looks, how it works out. I will probably have to make some adjustments as I go, but I'm just going to keep modeling. In the meantime, I'll just send that to the printer. It's kind of like a prototype pass. A lot of times I'll keep that in mind when the support structure comes into play and I need to trim that down or modify it, or sometimes it comes up lengthwise or height-wise and just screws up. You can't really pull it off the model too easy. You can't pull that support structure off and it breaks the model or dents it. All right, let's take a look at the print. All right, we can just get into the failures. We'll cut through these things first, and you can see how printing sometimes is not just a simple fire and forget as you would hope with this 3D stuff. Oftentimes it is a bit of a fight and a struggle, and there are times when I just leave it for the day and walk away, not really knowing what the problem is. But you can see with this one, it had the resin was flaking off kind of in scabs, like peeling off, not even in the direction of the layers that it came off the build plate with as it rises up, because I had it going from the feet to the head, and this one has similar issues, just overall garbage. Not sure what's going on. I was using the speed resin initially, and I have switched over to the standard resin with the expanded or the required length to expand. The standard resin requires a longer exposure time, and I have gotten better results with that, even though it's been much longer print. With the speed resin, you can get like 15-minute print. Some with the slow resin and the higher resolution, it can take 3 hours, but that's fine. I don't really care. I'm no rush so far as that goes. But you can see this tiny little guy, he is really flaking off. I have no idea what is causing that. Get rid of those guys. This thing, it peeled off. It looks like it peeled off the build plate and just kind of kept mushing sideways in this wavy wiggly mess. All right. Other than that, the print looks okay. Nice and solid, good detail. It's just a wretched mess. All right, goodbye. 1, 2, 3, 4 failures. Now this, I started to get a little better success. looks much better. And see, the thing is, at this point, I don't really know what I did different. I just kind of went back to the Anycubic workshop, and I'll just shuffle. I don't even know if this is a valid fix or whatever. I just kind of shuffle or slide the model left, right, up and down to a different place on the build plate, and I sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that's what I did here. Um, and I printed these guys together at the same time. This one has this is strange, man. That white flaky stuff. I have never seen that before. I rinse it off in isopropyl alcohol and then soak it in warm water to let the supports fall off easier so they don't scar or pock up the plastic or the print. But this white flaky garbage is you can kind of pick it off with your fingernail. I don't know if I'd bother. You could probably just primer over it if you wanted to, or reprint it. But I'm definitely having more success with the overall form of the figure. It's coming out better, and the details fantastic. And those little hoses on the abdomen that go from that little chest plate to the back of the abdomen turned out fantastic. Those little mortar shooters, gun thingies. Yeah, very happy with it. Now I'm getting there. We're getting back to the original glorious lead figure. Maybe it looks a little better. All right. And I do have the guns for it. Let's see if I can just throw them on there real quick. Some super glue. I don't use a paper towel, just wipe it off with my finger and hope I don't touch anything that I don't want to stick to. And voila, there we go. The Thunderbolt. The Unseen Mech. Unseen Mech number 2. And that hexagon is total guesswork. I was not sure how big to make it. I want to see if I can fit it on the actual board. These boards are very old, man. I'm telling you, they go back to 88 or 89 when I was a little kid playing this. Not too little, but you know. All right, and that's a pretty lucky guess. Is all that is. Awesome, cool. Then I think we are close to wrapping up this build. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate it, and thanks for watching.